Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome to another episode of the Tech Preacher Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk about some tech news, right? Because there's some exciting news that happened this week. Also, there's some concerns that I have about another company and actually two companies. So we're going to get into it. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about three things, right? And we're going to talk about the Snapdragon event that happened a few days ago, my thoughts about that. Also, we're going to talk about the new Z Fold 6 Special Edition I got concerns about, and the iPad 7 also I got concerns about. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about this amazing chip that Qualcomm just announced. And I ain't never been happier or excited for a processor, a chipset, and a GPU than what I saw with the event. All right. And I'm looking at some numbers, right? I want to share with you guys these numbers. Now, Qualcomm had announced their new Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, right? Now, this chip is supposed to be leaps and bounds way up there above the competition. I mean, they got some things on this chip that just amazing, right? And I pulled up some benchmark tests and stuff like that. If you're listening to this podcast, you're more than welcome to watch the podcast. I actually upload two versions of this podcast. You can get to see the video version on Spotify or YouTube, or you can just listen to it. But I'm kind of give you guys a what I'm seeing here when it comes down to my PC. All right, so let's get into it, man. I'm excited for the Snapdragon Elite, processor, right? And one of the things that I like, and I saw because it's been benchmarked, right? And it's a 47% uptrend compared to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Now, we all know that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor is an amazing fast processor, but this new processor is taking it to the next level. Think about this. Almost 50% of performance boost out of this chip in one generation. Usually we get, 10%, 20%, you'll get those, small incremental percentage. But Qualcomm is going all out on this chip, right? Listen, this chip here, the benchmark test is off the charts with this, right? Geekbench 6, right? We are now into the 10,000s when it comes down to multi-core scores. Now, that is amazing compared to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. So that is absolutely amazing. So I am just hype to see these scores, right? Now, you're going to get a boost in AI, you're going to get a boost in GPU performance, and also you're going to get a boost in efficiency. Now, this thing has 8 cores, right? You have 2 cores clocked at 4.32 gigahertz. Listen, can you imagine how insane this is, right? Now, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor was clocked at about 3.3 gigahertz, right? 3.3 gigahertz, right? You have one core that was clocked at 3.3 gigahertz, and kind of all the rest of it was kind of efficiency cores. This thing has 2 high-end cores that's clocked at 4.32 gigahertz, and check this out. The efficiency cores, so-called efficiency cores, which I don't think they're even efficiency cores, is 6 of them. And they clocked at 3.53 gigahertz. Listen, that is insane. That's insane. I just don't know what else to say. Listen, that to me is insane. I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow. This is totally insane. All right, so all right. And overall, I think this is leaps and bounds over what we normally have, and I'm excited to see what these companies are going to do with this chipset, right? And you know what the funny thing about it? My thoughts about this is that since we lead up to the newer year, I would advise nobody to buy a new phone. Like right now, if you are a tech enthusiast and you're looking at getting a flagship device, I wouldn't buy none. Not in 2024. I would wait till 2025. I'm not sure what Samsung going to do. Usually they have an overclock processor. I don't see the sense of overclocking this processor, but if they are going to overclock this processor, then it's going to be even insane. So I think if you are in the market of buying a smartphone, if your smartphone can last at least till February of next year, which is about 3 or 4 months, I would say hold off. Because this Snapdragon Elite processor is going to be off the chain. Hey, listen, I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it, and go from there. But that's my thoughts about that. Let's talk about the second story of the day, and that is this muckery that Samsung is doing. This muckery, right? Listen, my last Samsung device was the S23 Ultra. I did not get the S24 Ultra. My last foldable device was the Z Fold 4. I did not buy the Z Fold 5, and I did not buy the Z Fold 6. And I'm glad I didn't, because here we got Samsung releasing a Z Fold 6, Z Fold Special Edition. And I listen, man, I understand that this device is not coming into the United States. It's only South Korea only, and it's going to be possibly China. Okay. This is the device that the Z Fold 6 should have been. Now, the only kind that I have about this device, right? There's two kinds that I have about this device. One of the kinds is that it does not have S Pen support. Missed opportunity. If you got this huge 8-inch display, the inner display, guys, is 8 inches. Okay. You got this huge display, and you have no S Pen support. Missed opportunity for Samsung. Right. And the reason why they took away the S Pen support is because they're trying to make it thinner. I mean, thinner. When this thing is 10.6 millimeters thin at 236 grams. And I mean, it's 1.5 millimeter thin when open. And that is thinner and lighter than the Z Fold 6. Now, this device comes with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, no S Pen support. You get 200 megapixel camera on this thing. Now, these are going to be the S24 cameras that we all been waiting for. Everybody want that S24 camera. There you go. And it's going to cost a little over $2,000 if you convert it from, South Korea price to the United States. Now, if you import this, you're going to have a couple of problems with this device if you import it, people, because it's not made for the United States. So you may have issues with carrier support. And if you're on AT&T, forget about it, because they won't even allow it on the network. You might get away with Mint Mobile and T-Mobile. They'll let it on the network. But it'll be probably filled with, South Korea type apps and stuff like that on there. But I think it's a missed opportunity because it's a bigger display. It's all around bigger, right? You have 8-inch display open. You have a 6.5-inch cover display. You have, instead of the under display camera, they got the punch hole notch. Listen, that is wonderful because now you can get very good photos with the device open, right? For calls and stuff like that, Zoom calls and stuff like that. So this thing is better all the way around. It's bigger. It's better. You get 16 gigs of RAM, get all the storage, right? Obviously, it's a high price point. The missed opportunity for me is going to be the price because it's calculated about $300 more than the than the Z Fold 6 at 512. So it's about $300 more, and you don't have S Pen support. And plus, it got it. I think it's a 4,400 milliamp battery. I think the battery goes suck on this thing. So I think you're going to have a couple of issues with this. You're going to probably have bad battery life, and then you're not getting S Pen support, which is a major, almost a deal breaker, not having S Pen support on this device. Big old device, no S Pen. Missed opportunity. But that brings me up to something with Samsung. This may be the Z Fold 7. And this is one of the reasons why I held off on the Z Fold 6, because it was no difference between the Z Fold 5 and the Z Fold 6. A small upgrade, yes, chipset speed and all that stuff like that. You get a little better battery life and stuff like that. now since we got the special edition of the Z Fold, that's going to be the Z Fold 7. So now we're waiting, another 10 months from now, in 9 months, 10 months from now for the Z Fold 7. Because look like that may be the Z Fold 7 come next year. So listen, I'm not missing anything by not buying the Z Fold 5 or the Z Fold 6. I'm kind of glad I saved that. I mean, you're talking about $2,000. Listen, Samsung did save me almost $4,000. And you can add the S24 Ultra on that because I didn't buy that. Samsung did save me, $4,500, $5,200. Thank you, Samsung. I appreciate you saving me over $5,000 because I'm not missing nothing. Now, I will get the S25 Ultra, but I didn't see no sense of getting the S24 Ultra. I just didn't see it. My S23 works fine. I mean, it's no big deal. I understand I'm a tech reviewer, but, I always say this. Even if you're a tech reviewer, you don't have to review everything. And I decided not to review it. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, Note 7, the Z Fold 7 probably going to be on my list, and the S25 is going to be on my list. So let's see what that's going to be about. I can't wait. That's going to be pretty nice. But even though I'm going to have the S25 Ultra, I just don't see me carrying it as a daily driver. Listen, I'm committed to the OnePlus devices. The OnePlus 12 has been a phenomenal device, and the OnePlus 13 is going to add more greatness to already great device. Listen, think about this. That OnePlus 12 to me is a phone of the year. I mean, I don't see no sense of buying anything else, right? And then that OnePlus 13 just capitalize on already greatness. Hey, man. And if they come in at that price, that's the key. The price. OnePlus been knocking it out the park with the price. And to me, that's going to be a chef kiss, right? Only tech enthusiasts go buy this phone. Regular degular's not buying this phone. So I can see why they don't want to bring this phone in the United States. It's a lost cause. Carriers, listen, that's an over $2,000 phone. Carriers not going to finance this phone to nobody unless people put a huge down payment and deposit on it. And so that's a lost cause. I don't think that in the United States it would sell that well. So, Samsung know their audience. It's a, South Korea device. You sell it there. If people in the United States want it, they're going to import it. I'm not importing it. They will have some people importing it, paying, top price over, almost $2,600 after everything is all said and done. I just don't see it, I mean, you talk about $2,000, over $2,000 plus tax, plus import fees, plus everything. No, I'm not paying $2,400 on the Z Fold with no S Pen support and 4,400 milliamp battery. Come on, man. So no, I don't think so. So that, to me, I think that's a missed opportunity for Samsung. All right, let's talk about the third thing. Yeah, man, let's talk about this, man. Oh, my God. All right, so iPad 7, Mini 7, okay? iPad Mini 7. Man, come on, where Apple is going at with this, man? Look, I used to love the iPad Mini series of devices, right? And I think Apple I don't think they care about the iPad Minis. I just think they don't care about it. They missed a few years, they dropped it, we thought that Apple was going to drop something better because the previous iPad Mini had the jello effect. When you were scrolling up and down, it was all off center and stuff. We thought that they was going to drop a new one just to get rid of all that stuff, but they didn't. So now they dropped a new one, iPad 7, Mini 7, and they put the A17 chip in it, man. Let me think about this. Your iPad Pros, those devices got M1, M2s, M3s in it, all the big, powerful processors in it. But I understand the iPad Mini is not a pro device or whatever, but they put the A17 chip instead of the A18 chip, which, it's a generation behind. They should have put at least the A18 chip in it because they're not going to release another iPad Mini probably for the next couple of years. So why not put the A18 chip? I think it was a money grab in my opinion. So they put the older chip in there. And they put 8 gigs of RAM. Wow, 8 gigs of RAM in it because eventually it's going to get the new Apple Intelligence. And it brings me to this stuff, right? That I think, to me, this is the worst rollout that Apple ever done. This got to be the worst rollout. I mean, they drop devices, with a promise of all these AI features, and as of again, second week, third week in a row, I talk about this, no Apple Intelligence. But every time you see a commercial, you see them talking about Apple Intelligence. It's all plastered all over the world. It's plastered everywhere about Apple Intelligence, and it's still not here. That is a huge problem. And now they release a iPad, mini 7, and they putting old technology in it. Still 60 hertz displays, an old chip. Come on, man. It just seems like Apple is milking it. Don't that feel like Apple is milking it? They release an unfinished device, and they releasing the iPad that just had with old technology in it, and they calling it new. I mean, you can't sit up here and tell me what the A17 chip in it, it's new. No, the A18 is the latest and greatest. So why not put the latest and greatest in it? I mean, hell, you gonna charge us what you want to charge us anyway. You might as well give us everything that we want. At least a 90 hertz display, at least a A18 chip. I don't care if the phone, if the tablet is gonna run fast, no matter what. It doesn't matter. What matters is you buying a tablet with old technology. That's the bottom line. And to me, I believe that is a huge problem, right? And look, Apple did this with the iPhone 14s, right? Didn't they put like the iPhone 13 chips in it on the iPhone 14? They put old technology in newer phones, and everybody just like praised it, like, oh my God, yes. And they would still charge you out the wazoo. And that is the thing. That is a problem, right? I mean, Apple is milking it. Samsung is milking it. I don't understand why we don't call them out for the BS. I do, right? And I don't understand. You can't sit up and tell me that they rolling out a new tablet with old technology and they calling it new. Think about it. Samsung did it, right? Think about if other companies do it. Think about how y'all roast the Pixel devices with the Tensor processors, right? How people roast that device with those processors. And all of a sudden, Apple just continuously drop new product with old technology year after year after year, and we don't say nothing about it. I mean, we got to say something about it. And to me, I think it's a missed opportunity, and it's wrong. Across the board, it's wrong. And we got to call them out for it. And so, yeah, we got the iPad mini. Oh, man. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. And not only that, the pen that you have for the previous device won't work, so you have to get the new pen. And that's how Apple do it, man. That means you buy the new tablet, you get old hardware, but you have to buy the new pen to go. It just, oh my God, it just effed up. This, to me, I think in 2024 will go down as Apple's worst rollout, worst software. I mean, the software is not even there. Like, you buying an incomplete smartphone because Apple Intelligence is not there. You buying an incomplete tablet because you getting old chipset and old hardware and 60 hertz displays. Come on, man. I mean, you gotta be kidding me here, right? I mean, listen, I have, old tablets that have 90 hertz displays on it. I mean, them things cost like $225. And we, Apple's selling the thing for $500. It all depends on storage option, obviously, right? They crank it up way up sky high for storage, and they want to charge you out the wazoo for old technology. That is a huge. Listen, I rock a LG V60. I know it's old technology. I understand it's old technology. The device came out in 2020. It have 2020 top of the line specs. But if they release a V60 in 2024, with 2020 specs, they would be DOA. They would be roasting them. They would be they be pulling out pitchforks and shovels. If you release a device with 2-year or 3-year-old old hardware chipset, anybody would be calling them out, roasting them for that. But Apple, it's okay. It's okay, but it's not okay. To me, it's not okay, and we got to call them out for the BS that they have. I'm excited for 2025. I wouldn't recommend buying nothing in 2024, knowing that we just got the announcement of the Qualcomm new chips. We know that I think Vivo and Honor, I think they're going to probably I think their device is coming out December. So if you are Vivo, I believe the Vivos and the Honors and stuff like that, I believe I heard that they was going to release a device in 2024 with the new chip. I believe that's going to be 2024. OnePlus 13, that's going to be on my radar. OnePlus 13 going to be in the building. I can't wait for that device. I think it's going to be great. OnePlus 13 is probably going to be my device of 2025 because the OnePlus 12 has been in my pocket along with my V60. Y'all know I love my V60. So that's those two devices right now that's in my pocket every day. And I got Galaxy phones. And I just don't see, I just love the OnePlus. I love the way OnePlus is rocking right now. Their devices are fast. The cameras are good. The battery life is awesome. The design is absolutely just marvelous. In my opinion, I love it. But hey, we got to wait and see. All right. Another episode of the Tech Preacher Podcast, baby. Oh, hope you had fun. Man. Check me out next week, same bat place, same bat time, baby. And listen, don't forget, if you want to watch any one of these podcasts, you can come to my YouTube channel, and I got a playlist of all my previous podcasts. You can check it out. Have some fun, baby. This is Eric. I'm getting out of here. We're going to see you guys next week. Later.